Welcome to Canada's Entrepreneur, where we talk to the entrepreneurs who are making it happen across Canada and deliver the news, trends, knowledge, and opinions from entrepreneurs and business influencers across the country. Hi, everyone. I'm Phil Bliss, founder and CEO of Canada's Entrepreneur, coming to you today from Toronto. Cathy Cowan is an entrepreneurial success in marketing communications. With more than 2 decades of agency leadership, she now collaborates with nonprofits, agencies, and socially conscious businesses. She began her career actually working for me, and then moved to nonprofits and PR agencies, including Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Canada, Shandwick and GCI Group. She founded Cowan Company Communications, a full-service marketing communications, where she ran for nearly 30 years and led many award-winning campaigns. Her work earned more than 15 industry awards, and she was named IABC Toronto's Boutique PR Agency of the Year 4 times between 2007 and 2017. She now focuses her skills and passions for doing good. She leads integrated marketing communications for nonprofits and corporate social impact programs. Her ongoing goal is to help purpose-driven organizations transform their communications and maximize their social impact. So welcome to Canada's Entrepreneur, Cathy. You know, it's been a while since we worked together, but let's leave that alone. And before we get much deeper, let everyone find out a bit more about you and your entrepreneurial journey. You know, give us a quick 4-minute summary.
Great. Well, it's so lovely connecting with you again, Phil. It has been a number of years, as you say. So since we worked together once upon a time, I started my own agency, which I ran for about 20 years, specializing in marketing communications for big brands. So we worked with a range of brands like L'Oreal Paris and Jamieson Vitamins and Kraft and Cara Restaurants, Food Banks Canada. It was a fantastic experience. We had a small virtual team, which back in the day was innovative. And now, of course, it's more of the norm. But we won a lot of awards for the work that we had done for our clients and with our clients. And my agency was named Boutique PR Agency of the Year 4 times over the years. So we had a great deal of success. And then, you know, as you've had a business for a number of years, Phil, perhaps you can relate to this. Kind of took a step back. Some of our contracts were ending, and I was like, what do I really love about what I'm doing? What gets me excited? And what I really loved was the nonprofit work and the corporate social responsibility work that I was doing for some of these clients. So we kind of made a bit of a pivot to focus on those areas, and we had started to build up more of that CSR focus, corporate social responsibility focus, and then COVID hit. So of course, all the work we had done to build up sort of took a pause, and then kind of realized what I wanted to do really was more being independent versus having an agency and the team and all of the things that go with that. And the first client that I pitched as an independent was the Canadian Mental Health Association New York region. And so I went in there as a consultant on a part-time gig to be their head of communications, but I loved it so much that I ended up going full-time and being there for 3 years, which I really loved the team. And we, you know, kind of applying my entrepreneurial skills and applying my big brand experience, we're able to really move the needle and create some fantastic results. But I missed those agency experiences. I missed having multiple clients and getting to work in multiple industries. So last year I left CMHA and became an independent consultant focusing on nonprofits and corporate social responsibility. And so that's what I'm doing today.
So, you know, you worked as an employee, not just for me, but for some very big organizations. What's best? Well, you know, why are you still an entrepreneur? What's best? You've been an employee, you've been an entrepreneur. What do you like best about being an entrepreneur?
What I like is I like the initiative. I like being able to take an idea and run with it. And sometimes you can do that as an employee. It just depends on the organization and who the leadership is. But that's the thing I like the most is just being able to take that idea and run with it.
Okay. Um, what's been the greatest challenge you've faced in your business to date? I mean, it sounds like you've gone through that situation where you had a bunch of clients, some of them left, and you got to make decisions. So obviously that's one challenge. But I guess what's the greatest challenge, and how did you overcome
Oh, that's a great question. So many challenges.
it?
Uh, one of the challenges, especially when I had my agency, um, is people. I think having a great team and finding those people and keeping those people is one of the biggest challenges that any entrepreneur faces. As an independent consultant, I don't have that issue right now, but certainly in my agency, that was just a recurring issue of, bringing in the right people, keeping the right people. And I was fortunate to have an amazing team, who many of them stayed with me for most of the term of the agency, which was almost 20 years. But people are the hardest part.
People. That's interesting. Well, how do you handle those people? I mean, if
Um,
they're the challenge, what
yeah, and
what?
and so it's interesting, right? Because there's a lot of talk these days about um, Gen Zs and how do you manage them, and I've managed incredible Gen Zs. But I remember I'm Gen X, and I remember back, in the day, and people would be like, Gen Xs are terrible. You can't hire them, and they don't want to do anything. Did you just make a face? Did you think that about Gen Xs? You
No,
did.
you guys work really hard as Gen X. I didn't. I never had that view.
You were always a great manager, but a very young business too, right? So I
Yeah,
mean, it kind of was designed for youthful people.
yeah.
But to me, how you manage them, whether they're 20 or whether they're in their 20s or whether they're in their 50s, is it's about their professional development. I think at the end of the day, if you can tie their personal development to the broader goals of the organization, and if you can have conversations about how you're going to help them achieve the goals that they want to achieve, that's the common meeting ground. That's the success that I've had in managing people is, let's have conversations about how you're going to advance while we advance the business.
You know, you ran the business for 20 years, very successful, lots of awards. Um, what would you, if you could sort of think about when you started up, um, what would you say to people were the three major reasons why you were able to build and run it successfully for 20 years?
So when I started my agency, I didn't want to start my agency. I call myself a reluctant entrepreneur because it wasn't what I think it wasn't, my plan was I specialized in the technology industry at that point. The tech
Yeah.
meltdown happened. My agency that I was with got bought by another agency. I got laid off, but I was interviewing for a gig. I wanted a full-time
Mm-hmm.
job, and I thought I was going to be, ahead of one of the international agencies in Toronto. That was my background. Um, and so I was out interviewing, but as I was interviewing, I had clients, previous clients come to me and say, hey, can you do this? And I started subcontracting for one of the big agencies in Toronto. I was bringing subcontracts in to do work. We were working with Costco. We were working with L'Oreal. We had all this great work, but I was still interviewing for a job because in my head, I was like, I want a paycheck. Um, and it wasn't until I think I was on a third interview for a great gig but I just come from a photo op with Global TV and L'Oreal for International Women's Day, and I was in this job interview, And the very kind man looked at me and said, "You're not really interested in this, are you?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I thought that I wanted this." But as you know, I was sitting there, I was like, "No, this isn't what I want." So I went home to my partner, my now husband, and said, "You know what? I think I'm going to try this. I'm going to make a go of this. I've got people working for me. I've got clients." And my husband now it's just sort of like, "It's about time. How did it take you this long?" So yeah, I mean, in terms of how I started things up, it wasn't all straightforward in the beginning for sure. The three things that I think set us up for success is definitely the people. I was incredibly fortunate to work with some amazing team members, and they're really the ones who um, created the results that enabled us to keep the clients for as long as we did. I think we had a really unique business model because we were virtual at a time when agencies weren't virtual.
Yeah.
So that enabled us to provide the best value because we didn't have to charge clients to cover our overhead. So they were getting the big agency talent for a fraction of the price, which was a huge advantage for them, obviously. And then at the end of the day, we just got results. We were really focused on just the work we did was exceptional. And a testament to that was many of our clients stayed with us for 10 or 15 years because we, in a very competitive business where, they were constantly being pitched because everybody wanted to work with those brands. So just continually getting results at good price, but, just blowing away the competition with the results we were getting. I think those are the three main things that enabled us to stay alive as long as we did.
So that's really good advice, is it? I mean, so let's think of communications, which is your specialty. And what you've just said how you did it at a particular time. What advice would you give somebody, an entrepreneur like you, like me, looking to begin to make that leap from being a good high achieving employee to independence and and running their own thing?
So I'm a communications person. So my first piece of advice is always going to be on the communications side of things, which is know your key messages, know your value proposition. What do you do better than anyone else? And think about it in the context. And I think some of the entrepreneurs that I've worked with and are working with now, that one of the challenges is not according to you, but according to who you're trying to sell to. So really put yourself in the shoes of your target audience and what value will they find in your business and your services? Because sometimes what you want to sell isn't what they want to buy. So really thinking through, what do you do better than anyone else? And how can you help your target market? And the question always is, think about your target, think about your audience, and think about if they're looking at what you're saying or what you're offering and saying, what's in it for me? That's what you need to answer is, what's in it for them? How are you going to help them? And how can you help them better than all of the other organizations out there who maybe are doing a similar thing to you?
That's really good advice. So if that's really good advice, what's the best piece of advice, from a mentor, whatever, that you've received that it's always there. It's always in the back of your head.
Can I do two?
Yeah.
So one is that an executive coach of someone, I told him that has really helped me. It's always a yes until it's a no. So I think we come up with a lot of reasons to say no, and sometimes you need to make yourself say yes. There's going to be a point that you're going to have a concrete reason to say no, but until you get to that reason, that concrete reason to say no, then it's a yes. Keep yourself open to opportunities and see where it goes. And the other piece of advice, which was a more recent one for me in this new chapter that I'm in specializing in social impact communications, is build a life you're excited about. So whether it's your business, your personal life, all of the things, what excites you? And I think that's for me with social impact communications is I'm excited about helping nonprofits amplify their social impact and get more out of the work that they're doing. And so I'm bringing that excitement to my work every day. And so that's really a guiding principle for me.
Great. So if you weren't doing, we'll have some fun now, just some quick rapid fire questions. If you weren't doing what you're doing now and have been doing all your life, okay, what would you be doing instead?
I love the idea of writing cheesy novels, like not like, not like great works of fiction, but like just be good quality beach reads. I think that would be great.
And speaking about that, what book are you currently reading? Or not necessarily reading, but would you recommend to the audience?
I've got a few on the go right now. One that I just reread was Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, which talks about women in the workplace. And I hadn't read it for a number of years, and I just reread it recently, and still has great advice for women in the workplace. So I would highly recommend that.
I can't remember. Are you a morning or a night person?
I am a night person who is trying to become a morning person, but it's not going well.
If you had to pick one word to describe yourself, what would it be? And just as important, why would you choose it?
My word would be a hyphenated word, which would be true blue. And the reason I would choose that is many years ago, we did this big project for Lancome, and it was profiling 1,000 amazing women in Canada. And at the time, I chose the word integrity. There are so many people who chose the word integrity, it kind of lost its power. So true blue is a phrase my dad always says. It means good. It means integrity. And I think for this new chapter in my life where I'm focusing on social impact, it's just helping to do more good in the world.
I haven't heard that one before. That's really interesting. What's keeping you up at night?
Funding for nonprofits. I work with a lot of nonprofits, and
Tough time.
It is a really tough time. And so for me, trying to think of ways to help them increase their revenue and their fundraising, especially amidst all the chaos that's happening right now, that's definitely keeping me up at night.
Well, Cathy, it's been great seeing you. It's been a lot of fun. And as usual, you were very concise and you thought about this, so that it was there's some great input in our conversation. Thanks for coming on to Canada's Entrepreneur.
Thank you for having me. A pleasure to speak with you again.
Wow, that was fun for me. Just so good seeing Cathy and realizing how accomplished she is. And she has such great communication insights for entrepreneurs that are thinking about going independent in the communications business. I'm Phil Bliss. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter on our website and join over 100,000 subscribers, and also on our YouTube channel as well. And we're on all the major podcast channels. Thanks for listening to Canada's Entrepreneur, where you meet the entrepreneurs that drive the Canadian economy. See you soon.